Good morning, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Friday, the 13th of March. My disclaimer, it is for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. This is a video for subscribers. Morning, Doug. At chartingthemarkets.subset.com, and it's published on YouTube after a delay of 24 hours. All right, great. Let's have a look at where we are on equities. Now, we saw a decent move down yesterday. We made the head and shoulder targets on ES and on NQ. We didn't quite make the target on RTY, but it looks like we're going to have a rally day today. We've got a week 60-minute buy signal, which is fixed on ES. We've got another one on NQ, and we've got one that's just fixed on YM. This is suggesting that we will see a rally here. Now, one thing I would like to consider here is the possibility that we are forming a overall bear flag. This one would be a little large, but could go a little higher here. I don't know how strong this rally is going to be, and obviously if it's going to be a strong rally, then this head and shoulders on RTY would need to fail, having got pretty close to the target. This is, as you can see, a potential little level bottom here. There is scope here to get back to the prior highs and maybe get a little higher. So watching this with great interest today. We've got those three buy signals there all week. We only just reached the 30 level on all three of them, but nonetheless, these things often make target, and these may well make target too. On YM, not seeing an obvious bottoming pattern here, nor on ES, nor on NQ. Nice looking at the level bottom potentially on RTY. Now, looking at DAX and ESTX and Nikkei, I was commenting yesterday morning that these all were looking slightly concerningly like bull flags, and these are still looking like bull flags. And these bull flags may be about to play out with targets at retests of these highs here. We will see. But this still looks similar on ESTX, and it still looks similar on Nikkei. So I am wondering about that. We will see how that goes. Let's have a look at the bigger picture charts, where again, this kind of back and forth gives time for the daily bands to widen. And you can see they are expanding now. So we almost made it down to the 3SD lower band yesterday. Not the break below we saw on Sunday night, but again, while these are, we might take another few days widening these before a main move down. So in the meantime, obviously the main resistance is the daily middle band. I've got that, and the 68.39 area, and obviously that is still some very significant area above. ES looks pretty much the same. So it didn't reach the 3SD lower band there, I don't think. Yesterday's 66.54, but we got pretty close. Again, this is an obvious area to be finding some support. So it's not it is a pretty obvious area to be seeing a rally. Looking at the hourly charts, no current divergence. Looking at the 15-minute charts, we did have a possible RSI 14 buy signal brewing here, and that's likely to fix at the open this morning. Does this affect the overall head and shoulders that was broken down with the 65.40 area? Well, not unless we get over the right shoulder high. And I've got that pretty high. So that would be not that far away. Actually, I need to draw. Let's have a quick look and see. Yes, the question here is where the right shoulder high is. It could be as low as 69.52, but still a long way away from where we were yesterday. So, I mean, anything we see as a rally here, even if we see a high, is not likely to affect that. All right, looking at the Qs, we reached the 2SD lower band. This has actually been holding up the best of all of these over the last few days. Obvious resistance is still at the 50 DMA. Which is currently at 6113.85 and has been resistance 3 times now. Could this be a double bottom setting up a retest of the high? Potentially, yes. We will see. We could see that if we get some good news on the war. I'm writing a post on oil at the moment, and I was hoping to get it out this morning, but it'll be out within a couple of hours, I think. And that. I've got 3 scenarios there for the way I think this war goes forward. One of them is that the Iranians basically surrender, not surrender in terms of their country being conquered, but surrender in terms of the conflict and sign up for whatever. The most likely path to that would be that there's 90% of their oil exports go through an island, in the Persian Gulf, and the US are thinking about taking that over. If that was the case, that could bring them to the table, bring the Iranians to the table just because they're running out of money. Second way is sort of halfway, is that the Persian Gulf states all make a separate peace with Iran to make sure that they don't have their desalinized water hit, because that's kind of an existential threat to them, and also to restart their oil production. In which case, Iran has offered to basically make peace with them and open up the Strait of Hormuz to their traffic, as long as it doesn't go to allies of its remaining opponents, US, Israel, etc. So that could well happen, and the Gulf states appear to be considering that seriously, which from their point of view, as it appears, is pretty obvious at this stage, the US can't actually protect them from Iran, and as they're potentially facing an existential threat with drinking water, because they're all very, very dependent on desalinized water, much of which comes from the Persian Gulf and could be potentially given serious problems if full tankers start being sunk in the Gulf. That could happen too, and that would continue the war, but without as much pressure on the oil markets. And the third one is that the war just continues for an indefinite period, in which case that would be maximum pressure on the oil markets. But so I'm looking at that, and I'm laying all those out in the post today, but obviously that leaves us a variety of options on equities as well. So this double bottom could start becoming a serious contender in the event that peace broke out. So we'll see. No divergence on the hourly chart. We've got a possible RSI 14 buy signal, albeit a weakish one, which is brewing on the 15-minute chart. Looking at Dire. Dire got fairly close to the 3SD lower band, but not close enough to actually hit it or get really seriously close to hitting it. So again, not a bad time to see a rally. Hourly chart, we've still got an RSI 14 buy signal fixed. We didn't quite retest the low, but this came the closest. We've got an existing head and shoulders there. That could be threatened if we got over the 489 area on Dire, because that high is at 489.03. Get over that, and this head and shoulders would be invalidated. Meantime, we've got a 15-minute buy signal, possible weak 15-minute buy signal brewing here as well. That may well fix at the open, and we've got a little double bottom here, which could deliver. Not a large double bottom, just a little one in this area here. All right, let's have a look at IWM. And IWM, this has been pretty weak with the with Dire, and looks fairly similar. We didn't quite retest the low yesterday, but we got fairly close to the 3SD lower band as well. No divergence on the hourly chart, I think, because we didn't make a lower low there yesterday. So this is the only one that doesn't have a 15-minute RSI 14 buy signal brewing at the moment. All of these could rally today, and I'm wondering if they will. In terms of a rally, we've already got an RSI 5 buy signal fixed on DAX, of course, and we've already got an RSI 5 buy signal fixed on Nikkei. So watching those with interest, not seeing a real bottoming pattern on either one yet, but these are diverging. And in the event that we get the second option, i.e. peace breaks out in the area, although, really the US and Israel remain in conflict, but the US's ability to project power into Iran is degraded by loss of their Persian Gulf bases as bases for those, and the oil price tends to recover. If that's the case, then we may well find the Europeans and the and Nikkei head straight back to the highs. And possibly, obviously, the US as well. We shall see. All right, looking at DX. DX, we retested this high and have gone higher. I'm going to try and get out on the weekend or by Tuesday next week a layout of the bullish setup on the US dollar that we could see form here, because we had the initial double bottom which broke up and failed, but of course that set up a potential larger double bottom. That's now actually starting to get into the area where that could break up. So I'm going to try and get that out, but obviously it's a long, complex pose. These things are hours to write. I'll get it out as fast as possible. In terms of the others, USD making lower lows. GBP retested the low, potential double bottom set up here. USD JPY is powering up. We've actually taken out this high here. No sign of government intervention yet. I'd quite like to see this go back and retest the high at 162, as there's a potential very large double top, which could form there on the fairly bearish looking USD JPY overall rising wedge, or rising megaphone, I think. So we will see how that goes. USD CAD still in this rather strange bear flag, but we are going up with the dollar at the moment, and the next obvious target within that flag would be up here in about the 137.65 to 7 area. Australian dollar, possible little top here. NZUSD has gone lower. No obvious pattern here and no divergence. All right, looking at ZB, the head and shoulders that broke down here on the 13th, on the 5th of March, has now made target on the 13th. Oh, by the way, Doug, I've started posting those interesting charts that you suggested a few months ago. So I'm going to start posting most of the patterns that make target, which is going to be a few a week. So this seems to be interest in those. So hopefully that'll pick up traffic a bit. All right, we've got a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing here, and actually that's fixed. Since I was drawing this earlier. So I'm leaning towards seeing a rally on this as well today. ZN hasn't quite made the head and shoulder target. So I've got that a bit lower at 11.06, and we only made it down to about 11.11. So I'm thinking we may well see a rally here today, but I think that's unfinished business below that we're probably going to come back and get afterwards. All right, looking at oil. We didn't quite make target on the IHS on CL, but I'm still thinking we might see some downside today. Heating oil made the double bottom target. RBOB made the double bottom target, and we've got a weak 6-minute sell signal fixed on RBOB. We may see some pullback today, subject to news. NG is not really making tracks towards the IHS target, which broke up with the target in the 3.61 area. Honestly, I'm thinking this might fail. I do know this has Iran war has affected some natural gas production. I'm just not sure how important that is. And in terms of the oil moves, these moves are tiny. I'm thinking we could fail back into a retest of the lows. I don't have a large top bottom setup here of the kind I had on oil. All right, looking at GC, this very much looks like a bear flag forming still. SI really looks like a bear flag because we actually saw a triangle. Hang on a second. Let me just draw a trend line here. Not quite. But it looks like a bear flag at the moment, and we've now got a 3-touch support trend line. Still on a weak 6-minute buy signal, which didn't quite fail yesterday. Palladium still looks like a potential IHS, but maybe heading back into a retest of the low. Platinum looks like a bear flag. HG. This looks kind of like an inverted head and shoulders here, but it's not because it's too big. It's significantly too big. But it kind of looks like an IHS forming here. But the main thing is here, we had a beautiful triangle. It's broken down. That's got a target at a retest this low here about the 5.61 area. And it hasn't made that target yet. And it should. 6-minute sell signal has reached the possible near miss target, came very close to the full target. Looking at KC, this looks like a bear flag forming. 6-minute sell signals reached the possible near miss target. SB. Looks like a little bull flag here, which is breaking up towards a retest of this high. 6-minute sell signal fixed, keeping an open mind. CC, this kind of looks like a bear flag forming here too. On CT, could go a bit higher within that flag. CT, we had a double bottom break up here with a target in the 65.95 to 66.15 area, and that's now made target. Maybe heading back up into a retest this high and continuation higher, but keeping an eye. Lumber, we've got a possible weak 6-minute sell signal brewing, and we've got a potential little double top here. I think this may be reversing back down towards the lows, but the double top would only get it back into about the 577 area. On wheat, we've got a double bottom which has broken up with a target in the 64.25 to 626 area. Kind of wiggling around uncertainly at the moment. I think the part of the move part of this move up was the potential threat to fertilizer supplies from the Strait of Hormuz, because that's the other big thing that comes through there. So I think wiggling around uncertainty might be the most accurate thing to be doing at the moment. Corn, wondering about an overall triangle forming here that would lean bullish. We've got a possible double top here on soy. ZL hasn't retested the high with soy, but it often doesn't do what soy does. Live cattle and lean hogs, I'm still wondering about a possible another leg down, and it's still thinking about it. So with no real conclusion there yet. All right, let's have a quick look at questions. All right, great. Okay, yeah. I think I'm encouraged by the response. I'm going to start just basically doing those. I'll post the ZB one tonight, and possibly the cotton one. But I'll post the patterns which make target. And I think that should interest a lot of people in a lot of markets, which should be actually quite good for marketing. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. No questions. In which case, everyone have a great weekend. And I'll catch you guys again on Monday, unless you, of course, watch the bigger picture webinar on Sunday. All right, take care. Cheers.